San Francisco, and I am certified by them to lecture on bone health. Also, I will be giving away 2 of my books called Fighting Gravity, which is something we're doing every day, especially at the gym. And sometimes gravity is winning, and so we want to make sure that we win over gravity. So like I said before, my name is Barbara Wintroub, and I have osteoporosis. So this is a very touchy subject for me because my mother had osteoporosis and suffered many years from it. So I wanted to find out if it's hereditary. I wanted to find out if there was any hope for me and if I could do something about it by taking control of my life and not being on drugs. And so I will give you a little bit about my story as we go along. I'm a medical exercise specialist, which means I do a lot of rehab fitness type of exercises. I've got a degree in kinesiology. I taught high school. I was a tennis coach. I'm a master trainer in Pilates. I teach Nordic walking. I teach active aging. So the question is, are you actively aging or are you actively atrophying? It's a good question to ask yourself. Okay, so we're going to start out with a few slides. Is osteoporosis a problem? And this is huge. 70% of the people over age of 65 with osteoporosis have never been screened and don't know they have it. It doesn't hurt yet. How many people have had screenings and know? Great. Recently have had screenings, like in the last year or so. Perfect. You can get them every year if you're running a risk, and if you're not running a risk, they'll let you come back every 2 years. So it's good to know. Ooh, wait a minute. Annual incidences, we have 2 million people, osteoporotic fractures, more than heart attacks, stroke, and breast cancer. It is called the silent disease, and most of the time you don't know that you have it until it's not quite too late. But when your bones start breaking and giving in and getting weaker and you get shorter, and as my mother said, my chest is now sitting on my waist, then you know that something is going on and maybe you need to attend to it. American Bone Health, here's the website, and if you do have my card and want to write this website down, they are very informative. They do all sorts of awareness lectures like this one. They have advocacy, outreach and education. So if you want a speaker to come to some kind of group, your book club, your bridge club, or anything else and give a little lecture, they will be glad to do it. Also, there is a 4 risk fracture calculator, and you can go on the website and go into the calculator and find out what your risk of osteoporosis is. They are now presenting a book called the Osteoporosis Bone Health book. I have not seen it. It is new out, and I plan to get it and read it and see what they have to say about bone health. It's changing almost daily. They tell you one thing, then they tell you something else, then they learn more and more, and they are upgrading the information so frequently it's very hard to keep track. So the website is very good at keeping you up to date with what is going on. Program objectives: what is osteoporosis? What are the risk factors for it? The tools used, how you can prevent bone loss, and you can. How to prevent falls and fractures, treatment for osteoporosis, and what's next. My story is several years ago, I got my first bone density test, and they said, you have osteopenia, which is the first stage before you get into osteoporosis. And I went a year later and they said, you now have osteoporosis and you have high risk of fracture in both your hips. And that was just a couple of years ago. I'm a competing triathlete. I've done 2 Ironmen. I've run 60 marathons. And I'm one of the first 40 women in the world to have run a marathon on all 7 continents. That's including Antarctica. I've run on the Great Wall of China and I have osteoporosis, and I have high risk of fracture in both of my hips. Scared me to death. So I decided to use myself as the beta test for what I was going to do in the future to see if I could counteract this situation. The other story I have is about my mother, who, when at 89, decided to have a root beer float one day. She was only 4'8", 4'9", and weighed maybe 70-some pounds. So she got this big bottle of root beer. She couldn't find a small one, so she got the big one. And she, hold on a minute. There we go. And she got her ice cream, and she put her ice cream in her little glass, and she started trying to twist off the top of the root beer bottle, and she twisted and twisted until she heard something crack. And it wasn't the root beer bottle, it was her back. And she broke 2 vertebrae. She was small, she didn't eat right, she didn't exercise and hadn't exercised in so many years, and she started to break. And that's what happened. And I watched her break and repair, but continue to break. So osteoporosis is, she had no idea. She'd never been in pain a moment in her life, not one. And then it started. And by that time, you don't want to get involved with going to the gym at 89. So I tried to go back to Nebraska and give her exercise programs. But since she had never exercised before, it was not familiar. So I'm telling everybody, start now. When it is familiar, you have a great gym, you have a great trainer here to help you out. So what is osteoporosis? And Glenn had showed a slide, and I'll show another one. Normal bone and osteoporotic bone, porous bones is what it is. So does this look like us or anybody we know? Hopefully not us, but people we know. We start out tall, hopefully, and the result is as gravity starts pulling on your muscles, and we live in a linear world. Everything we do is forward. So we drive our cars forward, we bend forward over the sink, and we work on our computers forward. And then if you're a guy, you go to the gym and do pec exercises. So everything is forward, everything is narrowing, you're getting tighter in front, you're getting weaker in the back, and the cable car wire is from your chest pulled down to the ground, and as you start to shrink, anybody started shrinking yet?
Me.
All right, we're going to stop that, so you're going to learn a way to stop shrinking tonight, and then what winds up happening is you reach the point where your chest is sitting on your waist is very wide, and you need to buy all new clothes because nothing fits. Okay, height, breathing. Breathing takes place between here and here, and if this area gets shorter, then it gets harder to breathe, okay? And then your appetite starts to wane because of your pressure on your stomach, and then it goes all the way down to an elimination factor. You sneeze and you pee, pardon the expression. Okay, starting when you're young, you've got people working on your bones, and this is called bone remodeling. They work on your bones, they drill holes in it, and then it repairs. You've got people repairing the bone, you've got people breaking down the bone, and that's normal remodeling. And when you hit about 30, somewhere in between there, what happens is they lay off all the guys who are remodeling your bone, hire a few extra guys who are breaking down the bone, and the bone starts to not be as strong. And as you age to 65 or above, you've got all these little guys working on breaking down the bone, and nobody, or hardly at all, one person, that are working to remodel the bone to really make it stronger. One of the factors is you. As you're young and you're